What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I try and help you guys keep on top of the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. This update is being filmed Tuesday evening, early Wednesday morning, Beijing time. Let's jump in. Okay, first up, let's talk about the ongoing Delta outbreak that continues to frustrate both local and central government officials in the People's Republic of China this week. According to the Beijing-based National Health Commission, the present wave of cases has reached 44 cities, over 20 provinces, most of the provinces in the country, with most concentrated in the northeast province of Heilongjiang and northern provinces of Inner Mongolia and Gansu. Please note, Inner Mongolia is referring here to the region of Inner Mongolia within the People's Republic of China, not to be confused with the country of Mongolia, which borders China to the north. Over the weekend, the heavily populated and relatively poor province of Henan recorded the present outbreak's largest single-day rise in local infections, from 3 on Saturday to almost 20 on Sunday. On Monday, state media reports that local authorities in the northeastern border city of Heihe, which has seen hundreds of local cases over the last several days, launched a quote-unquote people's war against the latest Delta outbreak, offering rewards of up to 100,000 RMB, or approximately $16,000 to local residents who, quote, offer important clues for tracing the origins of the virus in the latest outbreak, end quote. In a very brave move too, on Sunday, Guan Li, one of China's leading virologists based at the University of Hong Kong, gave a widely circulated interview to partially state-owned Hong Kong-based Phoenix Media, where he expressed that China's zero-tolerance policy is too costly and can never be achieved. In the same interview, he also expressed that large-scale antibody tests must be performed in the mainland to get an idea of how effective Chinese vaccines are, and if it is discovered that they are not as effective as alternatives, then the country must move to those alternatives, whether foreign or not. As of the filming of this episode, state media articles are still overwhelmingly in favor of the zero-tolerance policy that China has had in place since the beginning of the outbreak in late 2019, but in earnest in early 2020. And this policy is likely to be the popular policy in Beijing until well into next year. Dissenting voices like Guan Li are currently in the minority. Okay, now for our China economy updates for the last few days. Let's start with the property sector crisis, which was sparked, of course, by Evergrande almost 2 months ago now. On Monday, the United States Federal Reserve, in its semi-annual financial stability report, warned that given the size of China's economy and financial system, as well as its extensive trade linkages with the rest of the world, quote, financial stresses in China could strain global financial markets through a deterioration of risk sentiment, end quote, and, quote, pose risks to global economic growth and affect the United States, end quote. This language is more concerning than previous statements made by the US Central Bank in relation to global concern regarding China's economic health, and in particular in relation to the property sector crisis that China is now experiencing. The big economic news, of course, over the last few days has been renewed concerns regarding Chinese property developers and their exposure to wealth management products. We touched on this a few days ago, but we have a few more details now. Chinese media now has several major reports on regulators trying to force city commercial banks to stop offering wealth financial products. The general wealth management industry is worth over $16 trillion in the mainland alone. These wealth management products have been used by many actors in the economy, including property developers and most infamously Evergrande itself, as a means of cheap financing. It seems now Beijing is very concerned with this industry and is calling for banks as well as other non-financial actors like property developers and internet companies, etc., to cease creating these wealth management or offering these wealth management products. Okay guys, we need to talk about this. I know it's very dry, it seems very boring, but it's incredibly important for anyone following People's Republic of China elite politics. On Monday of this week, the 6th Plenum of the 19th Party Central Committee opened. This is a critical event for PRC leader Xi Jinping, as the meeting will table a historical resolution, a document that looks back at the past century and establishes Xi as the man leading China through what the party argues is a period of tremendous global transformation. The reason this resolution is so important is because we are seeing more formalization of General Secretary Xi Jinping's consolidation of power into the state and into the party. We may see greater codification of Xi Jinping thought to his flagship ideology into key party documents. The history of the party is being framed with this document as having three main eras post-founding of the People's Republic, approximately 30 years from the founding of the PRC to Mao's death, the so-called Mao era, when the party argues China stood up, 30 years with Deng, the Deng era, opening, reforming, the so-called when China got rich, or when China gets rich period, and now the so-called new era under Xi Jinping, when China, Xi, and the party argues will become strong, or has already become very strong. This is the sort of historical formulation that this document is going to push. Now, the General Secretary has been front and center in state media coverage, of course. State-run Xinhua media on Monday described Xi as, quote, a man of determination and action, a man of profound thoughts and feelings, a man who inherited a legacy but dares to innovate, end quote. In the same piece, it expressed, quote, without a strong leadership core, the CPC would find it hard to unify the entire party's will or build solidarity and unity among people of all ethnic groups, end quote. In a separate article the same day, Xinhua wrote that China and the world are entering a new era, and that General Secretary Xi Jinping is the man of this era. Turning to Marxist theory as evidence, the piece went on to express, quote, Karl Marx pointed out that every era needs its own great men, and if no such men exist, the era creates them, end quote. We'll be following this plenary session this week. It's, like I said, very important to those of us who want to follow elite politics, and it matters because it flows onto everything else, from foreign policy to geostrategy to the economy. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that like button. It's a huge help for a small YouTuber like myself. It tells the algorithm that this is real content coming from a real creator. If you're watching this for the first time and you think you're getting some value from the episode, maybe consider subscribing. If you hit that bell notification, I release 2 to 3 of these every week, and you'll have the most up-to-date China analysis as soon as it's released. And as always, I want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for continuing to support me here on this platform. Cheers. In an interview over the weekend with US-based CNN show Fareed Zakaria GPS, US National Security Advisor Sullivan expressed that the goal of America's China policy is to pursue, quote, coexistence in the international system. Now, critically, in response to the question from the CNN interviewer, quote, but are you not trying to change China, end quote, National Security Advisor Sullivan expressed the following, quote, I think one of the errors of previous approaches to policy towards China has been a view that through US policy, we would bring about a fundamental transformation of the Chinese system. That is not the objective of the Biden administration, end quote. The wording was likely carefully chosen to send a signal to Beijing, and Beijing appears to have received that signal, with state media coverage of the interview carrying a sense of cautious optimism when discussing this interview. For example, state-run Global Times published a piece entitled, quote, Sullivan's remarks suggest softer tone on US-China ties, end quote. Perhaps the Biden administration wants to hold out a fig leaf so that the two powers can cooperate over a few fields, e.g. climate change policy or counterterrorism, etc. However, do not expect any serious warming of relations. Neither side trusts each other, and both will continue to compete across a whole set of other areas. In the same CNN interview on the question of Taiwan, Sullivan expressed, quote, the United States believes that the status quo in Taiwan serves the interests of China, Taiwan, and the United States, as well as the interest of regional security and stability. Notice that Sullivan here said China, Taiwan, and the United States. So, like I said, do not expect any thawing of the relationship anytime soon. And last up, it's been a bit of a heavy episode, so let's end with something a little light. Last Saturday, Beijing time, Iceland hosted the finals of the League of Legends World Championship. In the final match, China's team beat South Korea's team 3-2. On Saturday night, every bar and restaurant that I visited had hundreds of people watching this esport event live. At the time, I had no idea what was going on. It wasn't until Monday that I found out that the League of Legends was having this world tournament. Now, esports industry in China is quite a big deal, and to give you an example, let's look at the numbers who, despite the fact I had no idea it was happening, were actually watching this tournament live on Saturday night, Beijing time. On Monday, China-based video streaming platform Bilibili said the peak viewership of the final match in China reached 500 million. Okay guys, that's the episode for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. 3 comments below. Love hearing from you guys. Let me know what you think of the new format with the background, whether you prefer the plain background or, you know, the images and stuff played behind me. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. As always, wherever you are, I hope you're keeping safe and keeping sane. I will see you next time on China Update.